Doomsday is finally upon us. Midas's device has begun to be powered up as Shadow locks in their target of conquering the agency, but Ghost isn't planning on going down without a fight. Months of escalation has led to this very moment, and if you don't know all the backstory or hidden secrets, you won't be prepared for what's about to come to the world of Fortnite. Who will win and survive the Great Storm, Ghost or Shadow? Why does Midas want to see the world of Fortnite flooded? When will the live event happen? This is the Fortnite Season 2 live event explained. Okay, it's time you're filled in on everything. We're gonna start with the most important information right now so you're on the same page when we reveal it all, starting with everything we know about the live event. So all season we've been waiting to find out if a live event would actually happen or not. We know which direction the storyline is going, but it was always a matter of if we'd actually see that in a cutscene or a full live event, but finally we have official confirmation that a live event is happening this Saturday, May 30th. We also have a ton of leaks to show you about it too, somewhat spoiler free. So, what exactly has been leaked for the live event? We covered a small amount in our recent update video, but right now we're going to do a deep dive and carve out everything in the files relating to the event, just for you. First off, the event is already being teased, and if you go into Midas's office right now, you'll spot that the Doomsday device has actually been activated and is currently on low power. Although the next few stages have been leaked, and here they are. As you can see, the energy of the device is going to become more and more powerful until eventually the live event finally drops. Not only that, but if you go in game right now, you could actually see a countdown not only above the agency in game, but also on the wall in the lobby as well as on the desk in Midas's office. What I'm trying to say here is Epic really wants everyone to know something huge is gonna occur when that countdown timer hits 0. Right now, we have a list of leaked files that we only know the name of, but there's a lot you could learn from them. When I say the list has a lot of stuff inside of it, I mean it, so we could disregard a lot of it because some of these are just files for the power stages of the Doomsday device. Here's the thing though, there are a ton of interesting files hidden beneath the cracks. For example, you could spot something that looks like some kind of either satellite dish or maybe a dome that will control the energy waves of the Doomsday device. There's also files that talk about some kind of thing happening in the sky. What I mean by that is there's an in-sky shockwave file and also suck-in in-sky. So it seems something's getting sucked into the sky and then exploding with a shockwave. Now this part is really important for later in the video. What we're gathering from this is that the Doomsday device could potentially shoot energy into the sky. Remember that. In terms of other leaks we have for the event, there are some really interesting files which include us being underwater, as well as being inside of a storm, and then some talk about water impacting something. Could this incoming storm create like a massive tidal wave that hits the island? Possibly, but either way, it seems that this live event will bring more than just a storm. There's a ton of leaked challenges that we don't know the name of, nor what they're about, except for these file names here. They're also super vague. The challenges are called Quest Narrative Traveler, which is a very weird name to call quests for a live event. Of course, the first thing that popped into my head when I heard Traveler is something to do with the Visitor in 7. I mean, think about it. There's the Visitor, there's the Paradigm, the Scientist. Could the Traveler be another member of the 7? Will the 7 return once more? It's kinda dangerous to speculate about that, as I really don't want to actually say the 7 are coming back, because, I mean, think about it, it's literally one word in the files that sounds vaguely like it. But I mean, it's interesting to wonder what these challenges might be for. On the subject of challenges, for the past few storyline videos, we've talked about Shadow storming the agency, something that we theorized would happen, and here we are with the most recent update actually adding Storm the Agency challenges into the game, complete with an all-new loading screen. You can see the Renegade Shadow skin here taking on the entire agency's worth of ghost henchmen. We don't know if this storming of the agency was even successful, but considering that the agency is still under control by Ghost and Renegade Shadow is acting on his own, this could just be the very beginning of a larger plan at play. There's always the possibility that he was able to discover Midas's Doomsday device plans and escape just in time to tell Chaos Agent and the rest of Shadow what he's up to. There is a shroud of mystery around the end of Season 2 right now, and it's important we show you the dots that we've connected. But first, maybe you need a little recap in the lead up to the event, and that's why I'm literally going to tell you everything we know so far in just 60 seconds. Start the timer. At the beginning of Season 2, we were introduced to the Agency, a top-secret organization of special agents who have been on the island for a very long time. The Agency kept an eye on the island and anything that was happening, and remained in the shadows. It was in Season 1 where the agency discovered two teams called Ghost and Shadow fighting each other, and each member of the agency ended up joining either side in the war over the island. We thought it was as simple as that, although it seems that Midas, the leader of Ghost, has a secret plan to flood the entire island. He imprisoned Oro, the Golden King, and stole his curse of the Golden Touch as well as his pickaxe. He then built a hurricane outfit and then began work on a ball we know as the Doomsday Device. All of these things can be found hidden in his office underneath the agency. Shadow has been absolutely dominating Ghost in the war over the island, and Ghost is literally on the verge of collapse, with their last hope being to protect the agency. It seems that Midas's only option is absolute destruction of the island in order to stop Shadow taking over for good. Now the Doomsday Device is officially powered and charging up, ready to cause absolute mayhem. So what happens once the Doomsday Device is fully charged and ready to go? What's the importance of Oro's staff in the hurricane suit in Midas's office? Will the agency remain after the invasion? So we have a pretty solid theory as to what the live event means for the storyline and where everything is going. Everything has been leading up to this moment, and it's our job to put the pieces together, so let's tell you what we think. Originally, a lot of us suspected that this quote-unquote Doomsday Device was some kind of bomb or a way to defend the agency upon Shadow attacking it, like a force field, missile silo, something like that. But we think that the device isn't any of those. What if it doesn't do anything except create energy? It makes a lot more sense than you'd think. So we know Midas built a hurricane outfit, which is heavily inspired by the Tempest skin. Tempest is actually able to control the storm, mainly because of his outfit. And this means that Midas is trying to make a suit which will be able to wield the power of a storm. So our theory is that Midas's full plan is to actually use the Doomsday Device to generate enough energy which will then fire something into the sky and actually control the weather. This shockwave will make the clouds, which are already forming in game right now, begin to rain. We assume the power of the Doomsday Device will make it so this will end up with a huge storm that will soak the map in water, and eventually it will cause the winds to create a hurricane of some sort in the ocean. There's a large possibility this might cause a tidal wave or some kind of tsunami to form, which will then crash into the island and cause a ton of flooding, but we don't know for sure. There are files which point to us being underwater as well as the water having an impact on something, so that might be the tidal wave hitting the island. We assume Midas will use his hurricane suit and Oro's pickaxe to wield the power of the storm and possibly destroy the outposts that Shadow has overtaken, either by flooding them or maybe he'll have the ability to wield lightning bolts, although that last little part is just a little speculation. I know that sounds, well, completely freaking crazy, but controlling weather is also something we're already familiar with, as Chaos Agent actually experimented with controlling weather back in Season 1. If you remember the loading screen with Chaos Agent looking at the storm, this was days before the snowstorms that happened back in December. Think about it, Fortnite loves to hint things. So, what will this giant storm look like? Personally, I think the event will begin with the hatches around the agency opening up and launching giant energy beams into the sky, which will of course create the shockwave that affects the clouds and spawns the storm. Either that, or the hatches will create some kind of force field around the agency which will protect it from the floods. That's just our theory, but there's one gigantic missing puzzle piece left. Why is he doing all of this? There's a massive theory going around that the engineer that's inside of Midas's office is actually his daughter, and the reason she's there is because Midas accidentally turned her to solid gold. The evidence for this is because in the actual legend of King Midas from real Greek mythology, he turned his real daughter to solid gold as a result of his cursed golden touch. Here's the thing, in Fortnite, Midas wasn't cursed with the golden touch. In fact, he stole it from Oro, who originally had the curse. Not to mention the fact that Midas in his opening cutscene shows the fact that he could actually control the power, and it doesn't just happen to everything he touches. Look at the way he holds the Black Knight's helmet. It just wouldn't make sense for Midas to accidentally turn his daughter to gold. Another theory out there is one that's been circulating ever since Oro got a scar on his eye, and it's one that says that Midas might actually be Oro, or that they are some sort of alternative versions of each other. And while, yeah, it makes sense, it doesn't explain how Midas has a statue on the yacht of him without the scar on his eye, as well as the fact that Oro has a variant of himself with no powers. It only makes sense that Midas stole Oro's power, and it would explain how he has his pickaxe. Not to mention the fact that we have evidence of Oro being locked up in the shark. So basically what I'm trying to say is we personally do not think that Midas and Oro are the same person. We just assume Midas got the scar from absorbing Oro's power in the first place. I also heard a theory floating around that the Storm King might be connected to the upcoming event. It claims that because the Storm King was in the middle of the island, which is also where the agency is, and the fact that the event will have a storm, that, well, the Storm King is connected to the storyline. I'm gonna be real with you, I think it's pretty obvious that this one isn't true though. So with all of these revelations coming out, what happens after? Well, it's interesting to say the least. We already know that the map will be flooded in Season 3 from both leaks and the fact that no sweat insurance signs point to which location will be underwater or destroyed in the next season. But we still need to ask ourselves what the map will look like between the live event and the actual start of Season 3. I mean, think about it. We're not going to get Season 3's map after this upcoming event, but we'll probably get some minor map changes while we wait for Season 3 to begin. And I'm not just saying that. For example, in Season 8, when the volcano erupted and destroyed Tilted and Retail, we had destroyed versions for a few days before the actual Season 9 map came out. I think we'll get something like that again, a slightly flooded map, but nothing too extreme. The idea of the entire map being underwater would be crazy because you gotta remember, above all things, Fortnite needs to be an enjoyable game. So I think we won't see the entire map flooded for long, maybe a few days, but after the map will drain, and I think we'll only have maybe 1 or 2 POIs that remain underwater. Will Midas survive Doomsday? Will Ghost or Shadow make it to Season 3? Will Fortnite actually start trying to make their storyline make sense because all of this is entirely super confusing? You have to remember, the Chapter 1 visitor storyline only really began in Season 3 in Chapter 1, so maybe that'll happen again. We'll just have to wait and see when the live event comes around. Expect to learn a lot more in the coming days leading up to the big live event this Saturday. This has been